Patterson University Television.
Welcome back to the desk. With the NFL season with about 6 weeks remaining and the playoff picture taking shape, we got a lot to talk about here. Here to break it all down with me, got Marc, Mikey, Phritz, and Trent. You know, Phritz, guys, the NFL, a lot of glitz and glamour goes to the skill positions, the receivers, the quarterbacks, the running backs. The guys in the trenches, like the offensive line, they don't get a lot of love. So, Phritz, which unit in the NFL offensive line do you want to give some roses to today?
Yeah, to me, the best offensive line group is the Philadelphia Eagles, led by center Jason Kelce. They're averaging 162 rushing yards per game, a top 3 rushing unit. They recently just put 363 rushing yards on the Packers. And, you know, they've been an integral part in Jalen Hurts' development, allowing him that time to sit in the pocket and make his progressions. That has greatly improved his game this year.
You know, quarterback's best friend is definitely a good offensive line. Mikey, who are you talking about today?
I'm talking about Jared Goff's Detroit Lions offensive line with Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell. 2 really good tackles, and it's a young line overall, but they've only given up 17 sacks on the year, which ranks second in the NFL, so he's doing pretty good because of an offensive line.
And the Lions are definitely making that next step forward. They got that 2-headed monster at the running back position with Swift and Jamal Williams. Trent, who's your offensive line?
I mean, I have to go with the Baltimore Ravens. Their offensive line has so many pieces to it that really help accentuate their run game. You have Lamar Jackson, who's the best rushing quarterback in the league, and you got guys like Morgan Moses and Ronnie Staley improving them. Not to mention they added Tyler Linderbaum during the draft, who is one of the best run blockers in the league right now and one of my favorites.
You know, that was a key selection. I think he's going to be a focal point of that team for many years to come. Marc?
Yeah, for me, although the team isn't doing too hot right now, I got to take the Cleveland Browns. Their offensive line super impressive. Jedrick Wills at left tackle, Joe Bitonio at left guard. Their weak point right now is their center, Yelda Froholt, right guard Wyatt Teller, right tackle Jack Conklin. All very impressive players who really make a difference for that team, and one of the reasons why they have the okay amount of wins that they do right now.
You know, the Browns kind of underachieved as a whole as far as their wins and losses, but you mentioned their offensive line, Marc. And the Browns, they're getting an even bigger addition back this week. Now we will switch it over to the skill positions. Deshaun Watson is going to make his season debut, returning to Houston after all the controversy. But purely from a football perspective, how do you think this is going to help out the Browns?
Yeah, you know, before I get into that, we'll take a look at his stats. For his career right now, 14,539 passing yards, 104 touchdowns, 104.5 passer rating, 1,677 rushing yards, and 17 rushing touchdowns. Look, Deshaun Watson is a phenomenal football player. There's no denying that. He is a great quarterback, probably top 5 in the league when healthy and playing on a team that supports his play style and him playing well. But, you know, right now the Browns are in a bit of a hole, so I don't know how much he can help.
Yeah, no, they're going to have to definitely go on a streak with the Bengals and Ravens in their division. Trent, what do you think the difference will be?
I mean, he's a good player. It's just the issue is it's been so long since he's played. It's been a good couple of seasons, and you look at guys who've done this before, like, for example, C.J. Mosley on the Jets. He was a linebacker who didn't play for 2 seasons. He's back, but he isn't near the prime he used to. So I think it's going to be the same situation with Deshaun Watson because now he's playing a much more difficult position than most on the field. So I think it's going to take a while before he really gets back to what he used to.
Yeah, no, it might have a little bit of rust, but Kevin Stefanski can surely always help out. Great play caller. Mikey, do you think the Browns can make a run with Watson?
I think so. I think it's a big upgrade over Jacoby Brissett, and that's no disrespect to him, but I'd still take a rusty Deshaun Watson over Jacoby Brissett just because when he's on the field, he makes plays.
Phritz, thoughts on Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to improve this team. I think a run to the playoffs is highly unlikely just of where they sit in the standings. But, you know, look out. We have seen the Bengals lose to the Browns before. I think they can play spoiler to a team like the Ravens who are inconsistent. They do give up a lot of big leads. And the Bengals who have been, you know, inconsistent for the last 2 years. So I think they won't make the playoffs, but they can definitely play spoiler to those 2 teams.
You know, can definitely play spoiler. I think next year, as far as contention, it's going to have to wait another season for the Browns to really get going. But obviously with the season winding down, a lot of teams are in contention to hoist the Lombardi Trophy. So Mikey, what's your kind of like a little bit early Super Bowl prediction?
I have to go with the Chiefs and the Eagles. The Eagles started off really hot. They've kind of hit like a rough patch. But I think Jalen Hurts and co. is going to do a big thing with a turnaround here. And obviously you can't bet against Patrick Mahomes. I mean, they're averaging almost 30 points a game. So you can't really go wrong with that.
You know, definitely Chiefs, Eagles. Chiefs have found a a familiar spot being in the Super Bowl for so many years in a row. The Eagles obviously won not so long ago with a lot of new faces on that team. Trent, where are you going with the Super Bowl?
I mean, for me, it's pretty easy. I think it's going to be Cincinnati and San Francisco. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be 24-17 San Francisco. But you look at both these teams, they're a little quiet right now, but I think that's going to work in their favor because they still have tons of pieces. Bengals' offensive line isn't as weak as people say it is, but with the way both teams are going, I think both of them make at least a deep run in the playoffs, but the Super Bowl is definitely for them.
Yeah, that's an interesting prediction. I mean, both teams have had Super Bowl losses in recent memory. The Niners with Garoppolo, didn't make it last year, had an overthrow to Emmanuel Sanders infamously. Joe Burrow and the Bengals so close last year. Fritz, who's your Super Bowl prediction?
For me, it has to be a Super Bowl rematch from 2019, the Chiefs and the 49ers. The 49ers have that championship defense, and yes, the Eagles did look dominant, but those losses against the Commanders and that shaky win against the Colts showed a lot of holes for them. I think the Niners have the defense to contend with that. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. They're dominant. Patrick Mahomes is obviously the best player in the league. I think the Chiefs will win this game, though, 31-17.
That would definitely be a nice rematch to see in the Super Bowl. Mark, where are you going?
I'm going wild. Give me the Miami Dolphins versus the Minnesota Vikings. Two first-year head coaches in Mike McDaniel of the Dolphins and Kevin O'Connell of the Vikings. Two very high-powered offense from two very high-powered offensive-minded coaches in Mike McDaniel and Kevin O'Connell. I just think it's a very unique matchup. We haven't seen these two have a ton of playoff success in recent years. So it's just something that I would want to see and I think is a realistic option.
Kirk Cousins' primetime narrative would go away pretty quickly if he made a Super Bowl.
It already went away. You saw him with the chains.
We'll see. That would be pretty unique. But keeping it with primetime, we got Sunday Night Football picks. We got Colts, we got Cowboys. Cowboys always a topic of controversy, especially for our dear friend Andrew Balistreri. He goes through a lot of heartache from time to time. But Trent, we'll start off with you. Will the Fighting Jeff Saturdays upset the Cowboys, or is the talent just too much?
Yes, they will. The Colts will win. 100%. I mean, you look at the way they're playing right now, completely different team than they were before. It's incredible to see how much fight and energy this team has now under Jeff Saturday, and I think he's the piece they need to really go farther and get these big wins.
That would definitely be a huge upset, and Jerry would not be happy for that one. Mark, where are we going?
As much as I like Jeff Saturday and the Colts, they're not beating the Cowboys. The Cowboys are red hot right now, and I just don't think it's a realistic expectation for the Colts to win this matchup on Sunday. So give me the Cowboys.
Mikey, we got 1-1.
The Colts can't win. It's got to be the Cowboys. I mean, when you just look at it, every position they win. And Matt Ryan, he's just not the same guy anymore. You can't count on him to win games, especially one that you're lacking talent.
They're definitely going to have to focus on Jonathan Taylor, getting him the run game, keeping the Cowboys off the field, not letting Micah Parsons get into it. But Fritz, we got 2 Cowboys and 1 Colts. Close us out.
Yes, it has to be the Cowboys, man. I mean, the combination of the defense and that rushing attack with Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott is just going to prove too much for the Colts to handle. I think the Cowboys are going to run away with this one early.
That's definitely going to be a good game that I'm going to be excited to watch, especially for me as a Giants fan. Personally, I'm a big believer in big-time stage is a big-time choke for the Cowboys, but I'm going to have to make the exception this week. I just think they have too much talent, so I'll make Andrew Balistreri happy for that one. But from the gridiron to the hardwood, stay with us as we pass the rock over to the NBA crew here on WPTV.